Guys, my guest for today is Uzo Orimalade. Now, that name might not be so familiar until I start to add all the Maggi and salt in her name. You've seen her several times on EbonyLife TV, both on The Spot and on Chefrican. She is also the MD CEO of Uzo's Foodlabs, where, oh goodness, she makes some really amazing things. Bailey's Chin Chin. She's the one. In addition, she has a garden, and she's really doing this whole thing of teaching people how you can have literally green stuff growing no matter where you live. She has amazing organic stuff that she shares, salads. If you go on her Instagram page and you have not eaten, you'll be angry. You'll just be looking at her pictures and be upset. Anyway, Uzo is here. We're going to talk about the fuel price increase, and because she is a food expert, we're going to give you some very handy tips later on in the show about how to deal with the absence of tomatoes. But first, yes. Uzo, welcome to The Crunch.
Thank you, and it's great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Let's talk about this fuel situation. How are you dealing with it?
First of all, I'm sitting behind in my house. All those ladies' lunches and just let's come hang out. No, it has to be productive movement now.
Yes.
And it's so shocking. The first time I went to fill my tank, and it was 9,000 something. And the man was trying to take my card. I was reluctant to give it to him. So we're minimizing the movements, and you have to manage your movements. And then carpool, you know, if you can do that. And then if you have kids, do the school bus thing. Let the school take on that responsibility. But the most important thing is now I really evaluate who is important to me or not. We're not visiting people just for the fun of it.
Random visiting.
And play dates have reduced.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot to play with in the house. It's
fine. In your house.
It's fine. Sit in your house. It's fine. But how are you coping?
Well, one of the things I am doing more is, like you said, carpooling, getting together with a bunch of colleagues and going to or from work together. Another thing I'm doing is arranging my movements. You know how you run out and come back, then 5 minutes later you have somewhere. No. I write a list of everyone. I draw a map. You know, I do coordinates. And then, you know, it's the good thing about it is it's making all of us more conscious.
Yes.
You know, of how we really use our resources.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, and also, okay, so I'm a bit of a drama queen. I swear, ever since they increased the price of petrol, in addition to it being premium motor spirit, I think they've put spirit in the petrol because the tank is going down faster than it. Am I the only person that's feeling?
Somebody said on Twitter that half tank is the new full tank.
It's ridiculous. So I think the best thing is just manage your movements. And even from like security perspective and things like that, just manage your movements. And it's really great because all these people that have husbands that stay out late, now they're minimizing their movements because they can't go to the 5 bars. It has to be like neighborhood. So you can go and check them out because you know where they will be. So
another thing that a lot of people are also reevaluating is how much they use their generators.
Oh, yes.
You know, all of a sudden, solar-powered inverters are such a big deal. You know, get a rechargeable fan.
Yes.
So in that area, what are you doing?
Well, first of all, there's an embargo. I don't like heat. My husband has put an embargo on things like, okay, you don't have this problem because you're like a skinny girl. But like when I'm getting dressed, I have to put Spanx on. I know, like if there's no lights, I'm putting that Spanx on, the heat. So every small thing I'll be like, put on generator, please, I want to wear my Spanx. My husband said, no. You will wear it. So now I'm wearing a lot of boo-boos and free things because not every day Spanx, and all of these tight things create heat. So you know, I'm just
be comfortable.
We're just changing the way things are, and of course, there's no more opening and closing of the fridge anyhow.
You know,
yes, like every small you open the fridge and you want to see what's in there. Now you know exactly what's in there. You open it once, close it,
what you want,
and close it, so we can keep things cool.
So,
and then we're not opening the curtains as much so that the house remains cool. So just keep the blinds down. And we're surviving all that vitamin D business. We get it, but we don't need to let the coolness. We don't let the coolness go out. So
it's also interesting how many more people are using things like BRT.
Yes. And
all of a sudden realize, they are not so bad after all.
Exactly, and it's so orderly. It's just that, and it's also teaching us to plan our time. We are so bad at an 8 o'clock appointment. You'll be leaving your house at like 7:45. Now, if you have to maybe wait for like Uber, or if you have to use, you know, like the buses, you just plan better.
It's interesting. It's interesting. There are definitely lots of creative ideas, guys, that you can use to deal in these perilous times of expensive fuel. And if you have any ideas that we haven't shared, send us a tweet, send us a comment, and let's share with everybody else. When we get back, tomato survival techniques. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. It's time to talk about tomatoes. You know, for the last few weeks, it's literally like tomatoes went from 15 naira to like 1,000 naira, or some really ridiculous, dramatic increase. And because we are Nigerians, there was a whole bunch of conspiracy theorism going on. Literally, people were sure that everybody from the government to Dangote were responsible.
Yes.
And then we find out, no, it has nothing to do with that.
Dangote, one of the production plants for Dangote
has actually stopped production, yes, for now. You know, and now, guys, we're finding out first that there's a pest called Tuta absoluta that can apparently destroy an entire farm in 48 hours.
And spread.
You can imagine.
And spread. And then the heat wave, that heat wave we were all complaining about, what the pest didn't get, the heat wave got the rest.
You know, and you know how you don't really think about the fact that, yes, there was a heat wave, but there was. And again, people also forget about the fact that the beginning of the rainy season is always traditionally bad for tomatoes.
Yes, and even some kinds of peppers, because rain, excess moisture, causes the fruit to develop something called blossom end rot. So, you know, pretty much harvesting stops. At the beginning of the because you're going to get washed out. The farms get washed out if they even had any produce. So the reason why it's so high is obviously we have a scarcity. So the few tomatoes that we have are kind of scrawny and expensive.
Yes. You know, I was on my way to work, I saw some women selling tomatoes, and I had this look of longing, like I was just looking at the tomatoes like this, but I didn't stop.
Don't stop.
I didn't stop.
Please.
I didn't stop to buy.
Put your tomato money towards your fuel tank money.
Hey, this is true. Now, you know something I found out? Apparently, the Ministry of Agriculture says that Nigeria produces 1.5 million tons of tomatoes every year, and we lose 900,000 tons of that to rot. To
rot and spoilage, because one thing that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture needs to do, and I'm really passionate about, I'm not a food Nazi, but I'm very interested in seeing things done properly. I think the Federal Ministry of Agriculture needs to, first of all, realign the kind of fertilizer that they provide to the farmers. A lot of this is really very heavy in chemicals. But I understand for yield, it's necessary, but, you know, some of these chemicals, I mean, when you're seeing like little 8-year-old girls having periods, I mean, it's so tied to all the kinds of things that we're eating. But the second thing that the federal ministry needs to do is to sort of come up with like a scheme, like a cooperative kind of scheme, because a lot of our farmers are unmechanized. And so if you bring a cooperative together, then you can get them mechanized, you know, farming equipment, but in addition you can also look at transportation and storage. So you can get like a refrigerated truck that will pick up the harvest
from an entire collective or cooperative,
and then move it out to wherever, because now there's a ready market. They know where they're taking tomatoes to. They're going to the markets, they're taking to production plants. That is a more reasonable thing to do than giving them GMO seeds and chemical fertilizers. That's not really a contribution.
It's not a contribution.
Yes.
And then something that I'm also very happy about is the fact that we're focusing more on locally producing tomato paste.
Yes.
You know, when I was growing up, we had veg fruit, and we had Tomapep.
Tomapep, yes.
And, you know, I just did one age. You all know how old I am now. Anyway, but yes, and it was like all our tomato paste, or almost all, is literally imported from China.
Yes.
And, you know, other parts of the world.
Correct.
So I'm glad it's forcing us to come back home.
Yes. Let me give you a quick example. So you go to like one of these funky grocery stores and you see this funky imported produce, which is so beautiful, and you buy. But sit down and think about it. When was it harvested? It came on a container, then it was cleared.
So, Uzo, what are some alternatives? Just help us with something, please.
Okay. So first of all, you don't always have to have red stuff in your food.
This
but
is true.
In the event that you absolutely have to, if you're making jollof rice, in a blender, some stock. If you're not using stock in your jollof rice, then I'm sorry for you.
That's a tip.
Yes, so you need to have your chicken stock or beef stock or whatever it is. Put it in a blender with some tomato paste, which is the thick concentrated kind. Add your onions, add your peppers, sweet peppers as well as the hot peppers, and then blend it. You have like a nice red base for your jollof rice.
Oh, nice.
And then another thing is buy plum tomatoes in the can. They're very, very affordable, and you get so much for your for the amount of money. So in a blender again, add your onions, add your peppers, and then blend it, and then you can make your stews. But please, coconut rice, fried rice,
stir-fried things, soup.
Oh yeah, concussion rice. Please put some dried fish in there, crayfish, and a little bit of palm oil. Oh, palm oil will give you a bit of a reddish tinge too.
You understand?
Fool the family. And then another thing is actually braise your meat. Sometimes you boil your meat and then you remove it. Put some water, season it very, very well, and then cook it till it's very, very, the sauce becomes thick. And then you use that, throw some carrots and some peppers in there, and that's a sauce. Yes.
Guys, this is the time to get inventive with your sauces.
Oh, yes.
There's a lady that actually said she has started making onion sauce for her children and that they love it.
Yes.
Like you see.
And that's what I'm saying. That your family, frankly, they just want to be fed. You're the person that's worried about red food and all the jollof rice and things like that. If you have hungry children,
they don't really care.
They just want to eat. So just feed them, make sure that the flavor is there, of course, with your nutrition, with vegetables and things like that. And then the tomatoes, people got, you can also start growing tomatoes in your garden. But I think that's an episode for another day.
That's another topic that we have to address.
Oh, yes.
Guys, Uzo, it has been such a pleasure to have you here to give us, an intro into the Uzo experience. And guys, I'm sure that you've gotten many, many great tips that you can try out. If you have any recipes, any handy survival tips, please send them in the crunch_EL on Twitter and Instagram, or send us an email, thecrunch@ebonylifetv.com. We're going to take a really quick break now. We'll be right back.